Hey guys, Dolphin Oracle here again tonight. Been a little while, been a little busy getting MX out the door, MX 17.1, all that's going on good. Had a request from the channel from a long-time viewer saying, hey, can you show us about Rox-filer? Okay, that's a fair question. Rox-filer is an older file manager. It is this guy here. If you're on the default Antic setup, it is the default file manager. IceWM is the default window manager. Rox is the default file manager. It's got a lot of interesting tweaks, but it's a file manager. It doesn't act like most other Linux file managers. I don't know how else to say it. It's its own animal, and it's got some really neat features. Now, it's all built for the mouse for the most part, but it does have some command line tricks that I'll show you, and in combination with some other tools that Antix uses, in particular my favorite mounting utility, Udevil, Rox-filer can be really full featured with a little help from its command line friends. So let's check out a couple of the basic features. Now, one thing you're going to notice is Rox-filer is one window usually. And when you want to copy something, let's go into my pictures folder. I got my Dalek here. When you copy something, it gives you a dialog for copying it. Now, that's fine. You can give it a new name, new, and it will copy it to the new name inside the same folder. And you can do the same thing. You can type out the whole path if you wanted to. But Rox expects you to open up a second window to drag and drop between folders, and it's very fast when it does this. And it gives you an option. With a standard left click, it gives you an option. You can modify that with Control and Shift to make it move or copy as you will. So copy, bam, it's done, it's there, and it's fast. It's really fast to do. Once you get used to the notion of having multiple file windows open on this board, it's not so bad. But there's no dual pane stuff. There's no copy and then cutting and pasting into another window without typing through the command line. It's a little Rox-filer quirk. Okay, so what other tricks does Rox-filer have? Let's close my window there. Now, in the toolbar, your average toolbar here, we've got change to parent directory. That's just going up a level. Okay, we've got home folder. We've got a line for our bookmarks. Now, I've bookmarked my media folder. We'll use that here in a few minutes, because that's where things like most of the time where your other drives besides your root drive and maybe your home partition are mounted will be in /media, particularly removable drives. So you got the bookmarks, you got to rescan the directory in case there's been changes that Rox hasn't picked up. I'll be honest though, I usually don't have this problem. It usually picks up anything that happens like that real quick. You can change icon sizes here. I think I'm already at a relatively big size. Let's see. Actually, yeah, right click makes them smaller, left click makes them larger. So that's pretty nice. And let's say one other thing here, let's say you got a window here and you get more files in it, if it auto sizes when you go into another directory, a lot of folders, but if what you have in the folder changes after it's launched, it won't. Control E resizes the window so that it tries to fit everything on the screen. I'll warn you, sometimes you get a big folder, you can get a lot of stuff in there. You got an extra details, that's just detail lines, so you can see all the permissions and everything. It's pretty nice. And you've got a change sort criteria. Let's see. This is easier from the menu. I find this hard to do, but basically whatever sort criteria is selected, like right now I'm alphabetical by name, it will do by ascending, and it'll actually cycle through a bunch. So you see sort by name, sort by type, sort by date, sort by size, sort by owner, group, name. I'll go back to name. The eyeball is for hiding and showing hidden files. So there we go. Okay, easy enough. And then we have this guy for inverting a selection. And what's that mean? Well, let's say I've got 6 of these things inverted, selected, and one of them not. I hit this. Now they're all. Oh wait, I forgot how to do this. Let's see here. There's a trick to that one. I think it's a right click. Yep, it's a right click. So a left click on that button selects all. A right click inverts whatever selection is done. So that's kind of cool. I can see that be handy for sorting directories and getting files sorted off. And then you have a link here to the Rox-filer help manuals here, which see we got Italian, we got an English one, we got a French one. And in Antics, these open in Dillo, and I think they're local on the drive, so it's pretty quick. Yeah, file. It's a file designation, so there's a lot in there to check out. So, okay, so let's try something else. Let's take my picture folder here, and it has 2 pictures in it, my 2 Dalek pictures. I'm gonna right click, and you're gonna see I get some different options. I got an archive for launching up the archive creator. I can encrypt the folder. I've actually never done that, but that's kind of cool. And I got an option here for customizing this menu. We got our options. We got the rename. We can make a symlink out of the folder. We can delete it. Now remember, in Antics, by default, there's no trash can, so deleting is deleting. You heard it here. You got a send to menu with other things. Again, the archive, create, extract. If it's a zip file, that's an option. You can get a new window as root. So now I got a running root Rox-filer window. Okay. You can do counts. You can count the files, count how big they are, that kind of thing. And there's all kinds of interesting things. Properties. You get the properties, the permissions, all the timestamps and everything that you come to expect from a good properties window. Rox has all this stuff. Has all the stuff that most other file managers have. It just has it that weird Rox way that's really only Rox. You either love it or hate it. If you get to learn to use it, the trade-off is it is fast. It is so fast. It's pretty fast. So you got a little find dialog. I'll be honest, I like doing something like Catfish or Search Monkey better than this, but this is good in a pinch. It's kind of like a little bit like the Space FM search as well. Oh, cancel. Yeah, there we go. So let's take. Rox also has a lot of preferences. So let's take a look at the Rox preferences. We can go on. Oh, this is kind of a neat feature of Rox. Let me back up just one second. This is a neat feature of Rox where if you right-click and you're not on something, you get a next click window. So you can say, oh, on the next click, I want to do one of these things to something. So I'm going to say copy, and I'm going to click my pictures folder, and now I get the pictures dialog. So you can do it out of order. It's just a weird little file manager, and it's just got a lot of neat little tricks to it once you get used to the Rox way of doing things. Let me see. Let's see what happens if we right-click 2 folders selected here. We got send to. Yeah, so we can open the pictures with Faye. We can open it with Mirage, Paint. So that's kind of like the MIME type stuff. And then, of course, we got the archive, create, extract, and all that kind of thing. Interesting. Okay. I actually hadn't tried that one before the video, but I thought I'd try it just to see. All right, so let's get to the options. So we go to the options window here, and there's all sorts of options that you can do to set your Rox-filer here. So we've got auto resizing the windows. You can set it to largest window size. This is a percentage of your total screen real estate. So 75% is as big as my window is going to get. So it won't ever cover up the toolbars and sizes and stuff. You can make it. I mean, you can make them as big as you want. You can maximize the whole thing if you want to. But by default, it won't go that way on the auto size. You got single click navigation, double click navigation. Actually clicking in here, I believe you clicked in the background. I didn't realize that. Oh yeah, double click on the empty background. It resizes the window. It's set to single click navigation by default. You can turn that off, no problem. And you can tell to sort directories first. All sorts of little options to fine tune your file manager experience. So with the display, you get all kinds of display options. You've got different views, list views, icon views. You have different ways to sort, different ways to size your icons. I have mine set fairly large, but you can set things the way you want. A lot of fine-tuning, customized options in display. Tool mini buffer. This is the little toolbar at the top here, obviously. And by default, all these items are on the toolbar. And if I want the closed filer window on there, I can click on that and it shows up. And if I want to take off one, like say I don't want the rescan button because I never use it, I can take it off. Okay, that's pretty cool. Very good. And you got the different buttons. You can just click off and off, and they go right back on the toolbar. Now let's see. I don't think I can reorder them. Nope, you can't reorder them, but you can turn them off and on. You can show if you want thumbnails to show. You saw in my pictures I have thumbnails. Oh, I got to get out of this so I can open the folder. There we go. I have thumbnails. And if I go to display and icons with sizes, see if we can do sizes and tiles. We've got all sorts of different things we can do here with the permissions even. So there's a lot of combinations that you can do. Some of these things are easier from the right-click menu, and that's one thing I want to say versus preferences is the right-click menu in Rox is like the supreme being. Right-click Rox was built for drag and drop and right-click. So keep that in mind. This is circa, 1998 design, kind of, sort of. You got all your sort options in here in these right-click menus. While bigger icons is what I wanted to show you. You can almost get by with using this to to browse photographs and such with the way they are. Display icons, just icon view. There we go. Back to preferences here. Let's see options. So thumbnails. Pinboard is this item back here that is our desktop, I guess. In Rox, the desktop isn't really a desktop. In Windows and in most of your file managers for Linux, the desktop is just another folder. But the Rox Pinboard is different. It's more like a list of shortcuts. Okay, more like hyperlinks if you want to call it that. This isn't actually representing the desktop directory. It's listing a bunch of links on the Pinboard. So it's a little bit of a change in mindset from what you might be used to when you're using Rox. The Space FM option on Antics is just a desktop folder. But Rox has got a little bit special, a little bit of a Pinboard action. And you can do the single click in here or double click. By default, it's single click, but you can change it to double click just by unchecking this box. See? There we go. Iconified windows, I found doesn't quite work right no matter what I selected. It's supposed to minimize the window to the Pinboard. But what I found is that you're supposed to be able to tell it where to put it. But what I found was no matter where I told it to put it on any of these options, they all ended up here in the corner underneath the conky display. So that's kind of cool if you can make it work. Maybe it'll work for you. It did not work quite right for me. But instead of showing them on the toolbar, actually in this case it'll be on the toolbar as well, but it'll actually put them on the desktop. The minimized windows. They call it iconified, but minimized. Desktop options, again, this is the panel and Pinboard options. This is mostly set up by Antics these days, but you can change some things here. This lets you actually change what Rox uses for mount commands, which is kind of cool. I actually do some tricks here with UDevil in the past. I have it set up this way for now, but I'll show you a couple other tricks here in a bit. Drag and drop, it shows you how you can fine-tune how it works with drag and drop, showing the menus or just copying the files or what you want it to do. It's pretty cool. Menus, again, how you want everything to display. You can just tweak the heck out of this little file manager. It really doesn't get enough credit for how much configurability it has. It'll even have a little thing for a terminal. Why does it need that? Well, because it's got shortcuts to go into a terminal directly from the file manager. This tends to be kind of a popular feature with power users, so it's included here in Rox. And then you can even fine-tune your icon theme. Now this is one thing about Rox. It's GTK sort of, okay? So like the GTK theme for backgrounds and the toolbars and the actual window, it follows a GTK theme, but the icons don't. So if you change your icon theme on the desktop and you want Rox to match, you need to come in here and choose another one as well. It uses the same icon themes, but it doesn't follow. It doesn't allow GTK to actually set them. I don't know why. Rox is an old program. Probably inherit something back from the GTK1 days. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is you can do it here. You can also set custom colors. I've actually turned off custom colors on mine because I like the little dark background. But if you turn on, it will change the colors to match what different things are. This works better in some themes than others. A lot of the colors are dark, and so it doesn't work real well in my dark theme. But if I would choose a light theme, then these colors show up real well, and you can actually tell. Just like in a colored terminal, actually, you can tell a graphic from a text file, from an executable, and that kind of thing. So it's pretty nice. And there's some compatibility options. Honestly, this is mostly having to do with what happens when you right-click on the desktop and stuff like that. Honestly, in this day and age, without Rox running the whole thing, with using a Fluxbox Manager or iSwim, I don't use much on this tab. In fact, I never use anything on this tab. So that is the bulk of the options. Now, I wanted to show you some tricks with /media. Now, I have several folders on here. Data ext is an ext4 partition where I store a bunch of stuff. And if I double click, it will mount that. Now, this works on the live system, okay, because the live system, I'm on my Annex live system. On the Annex live system, an FS tab is automatically created at boot, and so all my drives are already in there. They don't mount automatically unless I want them to, but the FS tab is already generated. And it will ask you when you back out, do you want to unmount? Yes, I'm going to unmount, just to say the point. Now, you can see data part here is actually an NTFS partition. Yes, I know, dreaded. I have a Windows partition, so shoot me. But I do have, actually these days, the very occasional need to access data files from my Windows partition. So I share it with an NTFS drive. If I double click this, you're going to see it fail. This goes pmount and mount, can't mount an NTFS partition without root privileges. The way I get around that is I use a neat little trick in Rox called shell command. And you can get to it through window and then shell command, or my personal favorite, you just hit exclamation point and it gives you shell command. I've already modified my udevil.conf file to allow udevil to mount internal partitions as for a regular user. And this works with NTFS drives. What it does, it actually spoofs the system into thinking internal drive is removable drives and users are allowed to mount reusable drives. Ta-da! Okay, so if I say udevil mount, and I happen to know that my data partition is dev SDA6, I can mount that. See the little green dot comes on? It's mounted. And now I can browse my data partition. So there we go. It's pretty handy. Now I think it will also fail to unmount. Nope, it did unmount. So it does unmount. You can go through and you do the udevil mount thing if you want to, but it does unmount. Now, one of the things that that most modern file managers have that Rox doesn't have is it doesn't browse networks. There's lots of ways in Annex to get around this. Check out my video series on Connect Shares for one of my favorite ways to do this, but there is another sneaky way using udevil. And again, I like to do this with the shell command, although you can do this, you can set up scripts or whatever you want to do. I just like to do this. I only have one network share in my house, so it's not that big a deal for me. But it's on my media PC where we have all our movies. And I've already set up udevil to mount CIFS or SMB or Samba shares by default. But I don't know if you know this, but the Windows 10 file server that this thing runs, that my media is stored on, because yes, it's a family household and it's the media computer's Windows. What can I tell you? It's how I'm set up. So I can't access those shares anonymously. Even though it's an open share in the house, because there's nothing important in the share, it's all the important stuff's privatized and locked away. No one can get to it. But that one little open share that I use for everybody in the house to access movies and TV shows and stuff, I can't log into that. I have to log into that with dummy information. It's a problem with the way SMB works and I don't really understand why. But if I log in with dummy information, this is true if I log in from Thunar and MX, or if I log in through udevil at the command prompt, or through Space FM, anything that logs into that thing, I got to supply a password. Now Connect Shares doesn't seem to have that problem. I don't have to give it a dummy password. Let me back up. I think I actually do, but I set it up in the connectshares.conf file, and I only have to do it once. It does it. It just does it in the background. So what you're going to see me do is type in dummy information. So in the shell, I'm going to mount my folder, udevil mount, and then I'll say SMB for the Samba share, and then I have to give it a username and a password. Now this is going to look completely insecure, but I want you to put my password and stuff into clear. But I want you to remember, number one, this is dummy information. It's completely meaningless. Number two, this share is already open in my house, so it doesn't really freaking matter. Okay, so my login name, I'm just going to put in Dolphin, and then a colon, and we'll just say Fred for the password. Now notice this is broadcasting in the clear. Yes, I'm sure there's a way to do this without broadcasting in the clear. Maybe we'll do that in another video. If I was going to do this with a secured connection, I would just set up a proper Samba share and be done with it with Connect shares. But this is quick and dirty. I'm going to quit preaching about it now. And it's media. PC is the name of my computer, and the share is media. And now it will mount. It creates the folder, and here it is. Did you notice how fast that was? This is why you learn command line commands, guys, in Linux world. Browsing the network's great, but it's slower than dirt. This is fast. SMB, and there I am with my movies and my DVDs and all that stuff, all from that little shell prompt. And yes, when it closes, it's still mounted because I did not use GVFS or some funky utility to mount it. It's mounted. That sucker's there, accessible to any computer. I could browse that from the command line I wanted to. At any rate, I'm getting off topic. Rox-filer, shell command, really handy because you can do anything with it. You can copy files. You can do all sorts of other things from this shell prompt. You got some other cool right-click actions that I'll show you. On the window prompt is very useful because you've got all these close and shortcuts to home directories and new windows and things. But you also have direct entry of a path. So you go to media / I don't know, let's just say SMB. And did I mention that it tab completes? That's pretty awesome right there. Okay. And there was one more. I believe I mentioned that there was a terminal. Yes, you can open the terminal and it opens there. So it's open in my media folder. This is actually URXVT. You can set that in the preferences to whatever you want. The usual default Antix terminal is LX terminal these days, but you can set it to whatever you want, and it'll work pretty good. So there are some of the tricks that I use with Rox-filer, the stupid fast file manager for Antix, and a couple power moves there for folks. Again, the bookmarks are here, so you can go where you want. You got the invert selections. You've got the quick and dirty hide folders. Hide folders are great. Hide hidden stuff is great when you're in your home folder because it cracks open all those little hidden configuration files that no one sees. So that's it for Rox-filer tonight. If anybody's got any other Rox-filer tips, go ahead and throw them down in the comments. I'll put up a forum post over at the Annex forums on the topic too. You can post them there. Shout out to rmcellig, who requested this video. I hope this answered your questions. If you got any more, let me know. For tips, tricks, how-tos, head over to annexlinux.com or throw up a post at annexforums.com. This is Dolphin Oracle signing off. Have a great night.